Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys with their host, Matt Marrero, along with the other host,
Tristan Walter.
And Matt is confused. For some odd reason, he has an alarm set for 11:30 on when this is recording. Not sure why. Needs to go on his phone and see what the hell that's all about.
To remember to catch our podcast.
As I'm doing it, apparently. Anyway,
yeah.
So, fuck, whatever.
Just in
all
case
right.
you didn't know where you were right now.
Yeah, Matt Marrero exclusive. Just for
Exactly.
Matt Marrero. Where am I? Anyway, so but seriously, why does that happen? It's already happened like 2 weeks in a row. I don't know what's going on. Why there's a recurring Tuesday at 11:30 alarm. Anyway, seriously. Anyway, so we want to thank you guys for listening in as always. Even though that's usually how we end a podcast, it's how we're starting it off because. Well, why not? We can change things up. Variety, right, Tristan? But speaking of variety, what are we doing today, Tristan?
We're saving the galaxy one battle at a time. We're bringing to you Clone Wars, the second half of Season 1.
Yes, episodes 14 or 13, actually. Sorry, 13 through 22. No, it always confuses me because sometimes we stop episodes at 12, sometimes we stop them at 13. This time we stopped it at 12 because it isn't 24 episodes or 23 episodes or even 26. It's actually 22.
22. Give the man a prize.
It's a pretty short season.
Yeah, the first season is shorter than the other seasons. I'm pretty sure from here on out they have at least 24 in each?
Yeah, and what's interesting is the animation, of course, as we mentioned last time, it got quote-unquote better, right, if you believe, you look at the different types of animation styles, but I would argue this one is a better-looking style, right, aesthetically it just looks better, right? However, there were some episodes where they kind of suffered a bit, and I don't know, I know, Tristan, you noted one of them, or you noticed one of them, because I noted it to you, and you went like, yeah. You sat there with me, you thought, yeah, dude, this one's bad. Or at least different, no, because I'm referring to when they were on the planet where they met the Irish lemurs. All right, that's what they were. They were Irish lemurs. Tell me any fucking differently. Come on.
Just shut up.
I love them. I love their way of life. You've told me about them so many times when describing how different factions, or different planets, different villages act in the galaxy. Like, not everyone is involved in the war in some way or another. Some of them know, they know about the war, but they just don't want to be involved in it at all. And they even look at Jedi as bringers of, violence.
Mm.
So they were a very interesting village to see because you've talked to me about villages like that before when describing Clone Wars to me off podcast, but I never really, we saw a little bit of it here and there, but, before this episode, but we never really got to see that as much, in my opinion. And by the way, the episodes that I'm referring to specifically are Jedi Crash and Defenders of Peace, right? The first two. In the list that we're doing. But now, when we're talking about specifically, which I think if everyone's seen it, you know what we're referring to, is when they were on the tree and it was very 3D and had to do a lot of different angles and it just didn't look right at all. Like, holy Christ, man. I don't know if it was like budget concerns or if it was like based on with the time frame that they were given, but it did not look good. And you remember what I was talking about when you saw it. Like, when I said to you, like, dude, what's going on? You were like, yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, Season 1 still has its points where they're getting used to, the team putting Clone Wars together is, obviously all good people at what they do, but they're still kind of testing what they can do, and they're still getting used to the animation style. But as I've said before, as the seasons go on, it gets better and better with each season.
Well, I mean, I would argue that's time, potentially with budget, and I say with time as in just the animation techniques get easier to do, in which case start to look better. But one thing I want to say is, even in the season finale, there were some awkward moments, and I don't know if they were easier to notice, but I think just they were in an elevator, and for some odd reason, everyone looked like it looked like it wasn't like in post production. Like they still had to add finishing touches to it. I don't know if that was just an accident that slipped through. I remember even looking at Palpatine. And maybe he always looks like that, and I just never realized it. But seeing him in the season finale, there was something very off, and,
okay.
I don't know what it was. Maybe maybe you can see it because like you look at all the other characters in like other episodes, leading up to it. You're like, yeah, there's some really good detail here. On the planets too, there's just good detail. And
right.
then all of a sudden, I don't know, maybe it's the filters that they use some of the time. Like, I'm looking at episode 19 right now, and everyone looks great. And then thinking back to Palpatine in 22, I was just like, oh, why? How did that happen?
Right.
Yeah. But I will say, though, speaking of the season finale, it's in some ways definitely felt like a season finale, and because we criticize this sometimes with first seasons of shows that we do on the show, where a season finale doesn't really feel like one. Do you know what I mean? And it's not even a Star Wars thing. Looking at like fucking Droids was only one season, but fucking Ewoks had 2 seasons. Fucking Ewoks.
Right.
But still, it's not even like a Star Wars thing. Just in general, some shows that we'll watch for just general podcasts that we do, the way they end the seasons are kind of like open-ended. Like, well, what? And I'm not saying this was it's not like this ended the war, right? Because obviously they couldn't, because they were gonna make another season. But like, in a way, it was still action-packed enough that I don't think it just felt random. Where you look at Samurai Jack's season finale, first season finale that we talked about on that Saturday episode, and that felt more random, and it threw me off a little bit. It's supposed to be like a finale to everything,
Right.
Yeah, but I do think that while this show doesn't necessarily follow a certain narrative, unless you like to watch certain episodes in a certain order, right, like chronologically, or just chronologically is the best way to describe it. But for the most part, with the way they aired it in a way that I think works out really well. Like in terms of like you could have a season finale that unless it's part of a 2-3-parter, you could have a season finale that is still strong enough to to sit there and make you feel like, okay, I'm content with the season being over, but not in a way that leads to a cliffhanger. At least at this point,
right.
Because I will admit, I would hate if there was a cliffhanger and then the show got canceled. That would be horrible.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that will never happen.
Right.
I mean, well.
Because it ended. It ended.
Yeah.
The show ended.
I know.
Without a cliffhanger, I think. I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not there yet.
I know.
But Tristan, before I ask you, what specific episode you like the most out of this batch that we're talking about? What I want to ask you is just overall, what were your thoughts on these general sets of episodes? Do you think they were better than the half before them, or worse, or like what was your general idea of?
I think each half of the season had its good parts, and not to say bad parts, but like I guess less grabbing episodes. But I would say the second half of the first season was pretty strong. I can't really pick out of these episodes like that there was a weak point per se, in my opinion.
It's interesting. I think maybe some parts, and it's only some parts of the episode with Mace Windu. Did I think it was a bit of a not downer, but there was a bit too much. I don't know. It sucks because I don't want to say too much politicking because it's like, Matt, what are you watching? This is the middle of Lucas's Star Wars. Like, not that 4, 5, and 6 weren't his, but 1, 2, and 3, where he was, I would argue, a bit more involved in some ways. Obviously, a lot of politics are involved at this point in the story. But for some reason, I don't know, the politics with this droid that is smarter than the average droid, it didn't really grab me as much. Now, again, there were some of the action scenes that were in there, especially with Mace, were amazing. Where I sat there and I was like, man, haven't really seen Mace Windu do much, But the wait was worth it.
Yeah.
But that's my take on it. Like, the action scenes were great, but when it came to that specific episode, I think that's where I could really feel like there was a lull, personally.
Okay.
Yes. But yeah, so other than that, though, I do think that I liked, the ones that I liked the most, I think, is Jedi Crash and Defenders of Peace. I don't know why it is exactly. I say this because it wasn't like there were bad episodes afterwards, right? You look at Blue Shadow Virus, and that was very interesting because even though, you know that, if it's before on the show, you know that they can't die, but even though you know that they can't die, doesn't mean that there isn't any kind of struggle there at all. Right? So I really enjoyed that. Of course, you told me that I would love the season finale, and I really enjoyed Hostage Crisis.
Yeah.
So it is also hard for me to pick, I guess, a point where there was a major lull in this batch of episodes, because in this batch they were really trying to really bring up the energy. I would argue in the first 12 there was kind of a lull here. There was lulls here and there that I wasn't a big fan of, but once they really picked up, it fucking picked up.
Yeah. And I feel like season 2 is really going to carry that energy as we go forward.
And that's good. And that's good because you need that energy in a show like this. Yes, of course, like I said, you have to, I understand that it's, politics involved and things like that. But, I mean, heck, one thing I want to mention, too, is they overused Grievous so much in the first 12 episodes. And you barely see any of him here. And I think that's great because you're then able to shine light on other things going on in the galaxy, on other assholes, and on, separatists. And I'm sorry, I just ended up mispronouncing. And other separatists. And you also get to see, this jailbreak of, Jabba's family member who, it's nice to see that he's going to play a bigger role in the story. But obviously I don't remember him much from, I don't remember him from any of the movies because he doesn't exist, right?
No.
But
the pilot movie, Matt, that's where
met
Zero the Hutt.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean the pilot movie. Cause no, but that's what's cool. You know what? But I gotta say this though, man. I gotta be real with you. You. Happy that they referenced the pilot movie. You can't just fucking make that and then be like, "Whoop, whatever." Like, no, it fucking happened.
Yes.
So I'm happy they referenced it because
I thought that was a good reference to it too. It's like, not too much, but just enough to say, that was the thing that happened. It's like, here's that guy who caused trouble before. He's causing more trouble.
Yes, because he wasn't. Honestly, I don't really think the movie was. We've said this before. I don't think the movie was terrible. I just think that it probably would have been better as a televised event, as a 3-part televised event, and it would have been better on TV specifically because once you say Star Wars in theaters, right, everyone gets overhyped.
Right.
And they thought, oh my God, it's another Star Wars movie. And then the problem is that they were, not that I'm saying that this shouldn't be held to a similar standard as like, a movie or something like that, because I don't want to sit there and say, oh yeah, TV and television, movies, different standards, please understand. No, but this is an animated show meant for families that is a bit different than, in my opinion, than like a full-on theatrical experience that is going to open up the waves for critics to come on in. It's not like critics can't, come out and criticize. Dude, that's a word. That's what critics criticize. Criticize animated shows. But I do think there's a different level when you put it out there as a film.
Right.
Versus when, in theaters, worldwide theatrical release, or at least nationwide, versus putting it out on television. I said that before, but I'll stick to it again because I look at the series and I think, wow, that's like you said, that's a great reference to the movie without getting too much into it. But I would have no problem bringing back the little baby because I think that was a good story, just not in that format.
Right.
Yeah, that's just my take on it. I think it was a good story, or at least even if you're like, oh, it was paper thin. Again, paper thin. To pay $13 for, or whatever the price is for a ticket where you are, or not you, Tristan, you, the fan. Yeah, that's a fucking lot to pay for that shitty movie. Because again, it becomes shitty when you put that price tag on it.
Right.
But when you tell me, hey, it's television, it's free, well, depending on your cable package. It's free in a way, you know, you can get it whenever you want to get it on television, 3-part series, 3-part miniseries, whatever. Cool. I'll take it. I'll take that mini.
Yeah. Right.
Not for $13. But yeah, so I liked it. So honestly, I would love to see the kid more. I'm happy to see Jabba's family member more because he wasn't a bad part of the film, and I want to see him wreak some havoc, do some shit. So that was another nice way to kind of segue into season 2, where it's like, hey, he's out, right? So it's like a cliffhanger, but nothing too crazy. Where if the show was canceled, which would have been horrendous, but if it was canceled, it wouldn't have been like, oh no, but what about Jabba the Hutt's family member?
Yeah.
You know, like, no, because imagine if, like, Anakin was still knocked out or something, or it was like, you know, oh no, what will happen to Padme? Right? And we don't know, and then the show gets canceled. That would have been fucking terrible.
Yeah.
So I'm happy they wrapped everything up, because it felt hard. I was like, are they really going to wrap this up in one episode? And then they did. And I was like, wow, this is, like, you got a lot done, guys. They got a lot done in one episode, man.
Yeah, they did. And it was kind of nice that they were able to, you know, have basically the whole heist go off in one episode, because that really kind of gives you an idea of Bane's character without too much like, oh, we have to give him backstory. It's like, no, he's showing you who he is right away. You know.
Yeah.
No bullshit.
Not a big fan of his name, because literally at this point, guys,
well, all right,
everyone fucking knows. Because this wasn't like, you know, this show came out in the 80s. And it was like, well, Bane existed in comics, but, you know, it was still like a thing. No, this fucking thing came out in 2008. You know who Bane is.
Oh.
Like,
all right.
No, that's my take on it. Like,
okay.
And I know that might sound crazy. That might sound crazy, right? But, like, even though Batman's rogue gallery, his villains, aren't on the same level as him, wouldn't it still be weird if someone was called Batman or, like, Bruce Wayne or Joker? Wouldn't you be like, that's fucking weird? Even if you're like, well, Matt, don't pick those three. Fine then. Wouldn't it be weird if some guy was like, my name is the Riddler, or just Riddler, or, you know, Enigma? You'd be like, what the fuck?
My name is Penguin.
Two-Face. Yes, no. Even maybe if it's like a penguin, literally a penguin. It's like, I am Penguin, and they're like, all right, fine. No, because I can imagine, like, an anime making everyone, like, you know, all these animals based on the fact that they are animals, you know what I'm saying? Like, just straight-up animals, and they're all like, I am Penguin, I am Rabbit. Like, I can imagine that. But I can't imagine, you know, like, I don't know, it's just weird to me. Like, just some random dude. Like, you know, a space pirate, and he's just like, I am, you know, this heist. My name is Bane. Really now? Yes. Your name is, how do you spell Bane? Bane. Who are you? We just work with DC. So, Bane, how do you... No, but all seriousness, I was a little awkward. I was like, because, you know, I don't know, like, it just seems like an avoidable thing. Like, I don't know if his name makes sense later on in the story or something. But, like, for me right now, just him being named Bane, I was like, you could have went with anything else. Why Bane? Oh, it's a tribute or something. Oh, we really liked Bane when we were kids. Okay, but why Bane? Still doesn't add up to me. Because it's not like this is like, you know, in someone's fan fiction or like more of an underground thing. Like, no, this is coming out on Cartoon Network for everyone to see. Why Bane? That's my take on it. Like, explain to me. Me no understand.
I mean, it's funny. I kind of feel like that just, in a way, it's kind of a silly Star Wars thing where it's like, people's names are kind of not, like, over your head, in a sense. It's like, you know, like you hear Luke Skywalker, you know, it's like, oh, well, that kid's the hero, you know, or you hear, like, you know, Han Solo, you know, maybe he's not the bad guy, but he's not exactly the good guy either. And then, you know, names like Cad Bane, it's like, well, right off the bat, you know, he's probably going to be an asshole.
Yeah, no, I know. It's just, like, literally, like, I don't know, if you're like, oh, evil, vile, call him vile. Like, for some reason, Bane just seems like, I don't know. It's funny because I now realize it's probably a Batman villain named Vile or Evil, and I'm just mad. But still, like, the point is that I'm sure Evil or Vile, whatever comic book character that is, because I know it fucking exists, is not on the level of Bane. So it just really threw me off. I was like, art?
But it doesn't roll off the tongue the same way, Matt.
Yeah. By the way, so the space pirate that was with Bane, was, like, that him, like the one that we've seen previous, or was that someone of the same race?
Gotta have to be a little more specific than that.
What do you mean? The space pirate that was the dude that we've seen his race before. They captured Anakin and Obi-Wan and Dooku.
Oh, you mean the, right. Oh, God, I can't remember. I know who you're talking about now. No, he's just the same species.
That's what I'm saying, same race, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was just so confused. I was like, space pirate with Bane. Which one that we've seen before? We've never seen any of the other ones before.
Yeah. It's funny. Actually, one of them is important. Like, she's her own character. I won't say too much, but the sniper.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But no, so we'll find that out later, I assume. But still, it is nice to introduce her because, you know what's interesting? I don't know, maybe the way her voice sounded or, like, the presence that she had, it felt like she would play a bigger role later, or at least at the time. And then when she didn't, I was kind of sad because I wanted her to play a bigger role in the episode. But then she kind of just didn't. I was like, all right. But, so one thing I want to say is I loved when we got to see, I believe it was, I want to make sure I get her name right, because I always get her name wrong. Is it Ventress?
Ventress.
Ventress?
You're getting closer.
Ventrix. Oh, wait,
Ventress.
damn it, I was right the first time. Ventrix. Okay, so, but yeah. No, because I said Ventrix internally, and I was like, that can't be right. That reminds me of JetX. That can't be right. But I was right, Ventrix. Cool. So anyway, so she was... Sorry, makes me think of JetX. My bad.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Tristan. By the way, I would like to mention that I've been slightly wrong. In 2008 is when we got the first, 10 episodes. Then it went 2009, and we got those episodes till, end of the season. So I'm only bringing it up because I've been saying 2008 for far too long. And I'm like, wait, no, let me just correct that for a second. Yes, and funnily enough, we also got season 2 in 2009 somehow. So it was like a 6-month break, and all of a sudden, bam, more.
Yep.
Anywho, but yeah, so I like those episodes with Ventrix as well because I just wanted, even though it's okay, I wanted less Grievous, I didn't want less of her. I don't think she usually gets a lot of time, so I wanted more of her, but less of Grievous because he really dominated those first 12.
Yeah.
A lot.
And at that point, I think it was just to catch attention until they could kind of flesh out other characters and bring them more into the mix, which they do well later on.
Mm-hmm.
And this is even the beginnings for, Bane becoming more of a problem in the foreseeable future, too, because it's like, oh, this one can get his shit done. Let's hire him more.
Exactly. I think it's interesting because we finally saw something that worked out without any major betrayals and backstabbings. And I was like, what fucking universe are we in right now? How in the hell did we not... Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because in my head, I'm like, you're going to die. Someone's going to die here because of crazy backhanded betrayals and everything. And then not. It just didn't happen. And I was like, what in the fuck? Also, here's something crazy. So the guy that wrote Hostage Crisis, named, I think it's Yogan Mahoney, he actually is currently he's serving as a staff writer and co-executive producer on the CBS crime drama The Mentalist. I don't know how, but good for him.
Yeah.
I just don't know how. Nothing wrong with it, going from Star Wars to Mentalist, just confusing. Because he didn't just write Hostage Crisis, for anyone who knows the series overall. He also wrote Legacy of Terror, R2 Come Home, and with someone else named Steve Melching, he wrote Supply Lines. So Tristan, I'm sure, knows all of those, and he's like, really? And then, but I don't. So, because I'm not there yet.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, I know. We'll get there. We'll get there. But I think it's just crazy because I want to see some of these people who, wrote some episodes because of the fact that, well, not only their names highlighted on the site that I'm using to, see make sure that I got everything correct with some of these episodes, but also just the fact that, like, I love tying in what they've done before with what they do now, like with Paul Dini, where it's just hilarious, where you're just like, Paul Dini, oh yeah, it's pretty cool, I'm sure he did some cool things, made Harley Quinn and shit. Oh, well, fuck. Yes, and also wrote for Ewoks. Oh. Wrote for some episodes here too, but mentioned that not in these latest few, just in something in the first 12. But so I think it's really funny. Where you also have this Craig Titley, who wrote for the Blue Shadow virus. Right, that's the episode that he wrote. And funnily enough, he's also been a writer for some episodes of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And anything else that you would know. No, okay. Unless you like Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief, well then there you go.
Right. I've heard of
not.
Yeah. I know of the series too, the book series, but yeah.
Well, there's that. I think the one that really caught me off guard is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I was like, oh shit, he's a writer, and he's also a consulting producer. I was like, oh, well, good for him. And then we also have, Drew Z. Greenberg, who, oh shit, best known for working on Buffy, Smallville, Dexter, Warehouse 13, Arrow, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Well,
there you go.
Shit. No, I'm just saying, that's pretty fucking cool. So, yeah. I only bring that up because, again, he wrote for, just want to make sure I got the episode right, The Hidden Enemy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, which was also one that you were talking to me about. I remember you texting me as you were watching it for the show. Like, oh, we have a traitor. Oh, he's the traitor. Who was that again?
Yes, no, because he plays such a big role both in the episode and in the episode. He plays a role in the movie, and I assume also in episode 38, Cat and Mouse, which obviously we haven't seen yet.
Yes.
Well, yeah. So does he play a big role in that or no? Because it says that it's tied in, so I assume he would play.
Yes, it's tied in. It's the idea. I mean, it's more of the idea of who he's in contact with, basically, I think. But I really enjoyed that episode because it gives you an insight of how Cody and Rex work together and how they're really good as captains, and kind of the difference between Obi-Wan's clone captain and Anakin's clone captain.
Right.
And that the clones are their own individual people. We've talked about this a little bit. Like, yes, they are cloned from one person, but each of them is their own alteration of that person, making them their own person. So you have this clone who's basically going against the Republic's war effort because he believes that they're just being used as a body count. And he's like, I was trying to strike a blow for my brothers. It's like, but in the end, you've only ended up killing a lot more of your brothers by selling them out, But I guess it was more the idea of, in the long run, I could, free them, from being used by the Jedi and being used in this war. But we all know that the Emperor is not going to let that happen. It's like, gotta keep the machine rolling until I can, take power for myself. So.
Yeah, it was a very interesting episode or set of episodes because, like you said, they are their own people, and I obviously know that they are. And the one thing I want to ask you is that are they allowed to say, "Hey, I want to leave the army"?
Yeah.
Like, do they not have that choice?
Well, in fact, there's actually an episode that talks about that later on.
Sorry about that. So then we'll leave that open-ended for right now.
Yeah.
I'm only bringing it up because, frankly, it's kind of crazy to me that, like, okay, I know that they're quote-unquote bred for this, but it would make the Jedis look worse if it was like, hey, listen, you've been bred for this. We didn't technically breed all of you, but we are breeding some of you. But what matters is that, you can't do anything else with your life. Yeah, no, like, you're here now, yes, but you can't do anything else with your life. I'd be like, I'm not saying I'd be a separatist because they're all jerks, but I can understand wanting to be a separatist if you've been told, they can't leave the army. They don't just want to fight, they have to. And I'm like, that's a problem because so that guy, he was terrible, but then my first thought is, well, why can't you leave? And again, we'll get to that in later seasons. But, if they can leave, then I think that it's kind of like, well, then go. Like, because clearly to him, he felt like he couldn't leave. And so it had to be this so that he could potentially run away. And it was pretty sad because, like, look, the Separatists are going to be Separatists no matter what, and they're going to, try to take out the Jedi and really just the Republic overall, no matter what, right? Yeah. But it's crazy to me because, like, what's crazy to me about it is that, like, having someone on the inside, man, that made it so much worse. Like, you don't realize how bad it can be until you have someone on the inside literally helping them with every single move you make. And frankly, I'm surprised there aren't more. Like, I know I mentioned all these, like these jokes about, like, man, traitors everywhere. But I'm surprised that they haven't been able to get someone on the inside before this. At least, like, for in canon. From the look, like I say in canon, by the way, not in, because I know there's an expanded universe. I mean, in terms of like television and movie canon, it's crazy how this was the first time that they got someone on the inside who wasn't. I mean that like not a droid, because like droids are, I remember the R unit that I fucking hated, but still, bit different R unit versus like an actual fucking clone trooper.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. We actually had somebody, one of the Captain Argaius from the Senate Guard in Episode 9, Cloak of Darkness. He betrayed the Republic too in the promise of a payoff. But the difference is, like you were saying, he's not a clone trooper. Yes, he's part of the Republic and close to this. He works in the Senate, but he's still a guy looking. It's like, look, I'm just trying to make some cash, basically.
Yeah, and also, why I forgot about him? Because it just seemed too obvious.
Yeah.
The second I saw him, I was like, go fuck yourself. So
and he's killed off even quicker. So
yeah, exactly. So it was a strange situation, especially because the clone troopers, there seems to be such a brotherhood there. Like, again, similar, different people. But there's such a huge brotherhood that the fact that it was one of them was a big impact, even though I made a joke about, like, who is that specifically, because I think it's been harder to differentiate which clones are which minus the top three. That we're like, yes, we know you three. The rest, I am so sorry.
No, it's cool. If there's a lot of them in a room together, especially like that, like they try to give each one, like, specific facial expression or, like, specific haircut or, like, facial hair and stuff like that, any variation that they can. Even some of their suits or the armor that they wear eventually gets a little bit more detailed, at least for like the captains and stuff like that, to be able to differentiate them. But it is hard in the beginning. So like I laughed and I was like, Matt, come on, and I'm like, no, like I totally get it.
I was like, is he being serious? Because I don't know with him. Yeah, it's Star Wars.
But the fact of it being their commander, like. That squad's captain. And he even tries to pin it on one of the other guys in his own squad. And then the squad mate looks at him like, no, like, I know where the fuck you went. You're the one who was alone within that time, not the rest of us. Are you seriously trying to pin this on me?
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
That must have been rough.
Because even Rex and Cody were like, it's Slick? As he runs out the door, it's like, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah.
Yes. Now, one episode I want to mention that I guess really caught me off guard in a good way. the episode looking at Innocence of Ryloth. And the reason why I like that one so much is because throughout this show, right, of course, the language that we know is English. Obviously, it's not their language, but it's the language that everything is dubbed into for us in America, being, getting the show. I believe we got the show first as Americans, right? But so we see the show in English, right? Now, again, they have, like, so many different languages throughout the galaxy, and usually they'll have C-3PO along if they need him. But I think it's great to, even though I'm not the biggest fan of this droid character that keeps on appearing, even though he's very smart, there's something about him that I don't like, but not in a way that, like, I shouldn't like him, like the way that the show wants me to not like him, more like in a I don't care. Like, I do care, but, like, I don't know. I wanted to see him get I wanted to see him off my screen, but not in like keep on coming around so that you can leave. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for some people to explain and differentiate, but like it's another situation, a similar situation that goes on in professional wrestling, where when you watch these characters on television, right? For if you're a pro wrestling fan, or if you're not, you'd still watch them and okay, that's a good guy, that's a bad guy, that person is in between, right? They can do bad things or good things, but it depends. And so, but there are some people that it doesn't even matter if they're a good guy or a bad guy, they get this level of hate from fans, this ire that isn't like, I want to see you get punched. No, it's like, I want to see you go away. And I think that this droid, I can't remember his name, but, the very intelligent droid that was kind of just like, kind of collaborating with the Separatists. I wasn't a big fan of him. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
The commander droids.
Thank you.
God, they have a specific name, but the head droid of the part of the Separatist army that's occupying the planet at the time. Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh man, I can't wait till he gets destroyed. It was like, man, I don't want him. I was like, I just don't. But my point though is that talking about language, right? You don't have C-3PO there, so you actually have a situation where they don't speak English, or they don't speak the language that everyone else speaks.
Right.
And that's pretty cool to have, because you actually have a planet, in a way, have its own culture, because they're not just like, oh, hi, how are you? Like, at first I thought, they're doing it just with the kid. But then when they have the locals, like when they have, like, her mother hug her and then the locals around, you can tell that they're not just going to break out into, why, hello, sir, how are you doing this fine day? Well, we have been enslaved and this is terrible. No, they have their own language and culture, and that's cool. It doesn't just have to be, oh, no, we totally speak what you speak, man. Yeah. Because we haven't really had that in this show. Most of the time, yes, C-3PO will be there if needed, but most of the time it's like, oh, no, I can speak your tongue. And it's like, why isn't that fucking convenient? You don't even have people really like Jar Jar, despite the fact that I've said bad things, about like what Jar Jar potentially depicts or does depict. The point is that no one with like any accent they have is still like standard Earth accents of like, yes, I am, I am Irish, or I am this or I am that, or like I am potentially Asian or whatever it might be. So like these different accents. Oh, actually no, one was not potentially Asian. One was fucking George Takei, or Takei. Sorry, you said Takei. It's funny. You say Takei once and then I say it. George Takei. He was actually in the episode with the Irish lemurs, and so that's what they are. Tristan.
Oh, and so right. Oh God, he was the Separatist general.
Yeah, dude, that was George Takei.
Oh man, right. I can totally hear it now.
Mm-hmm. And I believe he was also in an episode 2 and 3, or one of the two. He was in one of them as the same leader, I believe. But or at least he was in the movie as, I know he's been leader before, and this wasn't the first time he's done the role. And I was really happy about it, because I was like, yes, they got an Asian person to do an Asian role.
Right.
And I say this because like we've had some of the same species or similar like looking of the species that are separatists in that like general like like I guess we'll call it the Asian part, because again they'll wear similar outfits and then they'll speak in similar accents, but some of them have been Tom Kenny and I've been like, no buddy, no. Right. Because literally it's just Tom Kenny, who, if anyone remembers, his voice is SpongeBob, going, yes, a general. And I'm like, why? Why? No, why? And then now we have George Takei. I'm like, yes. We have.
Right.
Thank goodness. But anyway, point though is that even though we have different accents, we've mostly had English, right, or whatever language you want to call it, a language that is universally understood. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's to be fair, maybe in the shows canon. Oh no, they all speak in different languages. We just also speak in multiple languages, not like C-3PO levels, but we have basic understandings. And to me, it could be like, okay, that makes sense. Maybe.
Right.
But they don't really acknowledge that because I guess it's a little bit too hard to do it. So and I,
as far as I know, for the Star Wars universe, there is Galactic Basic, English is quote unquote basic in their universe.
No, I know.
But there are other.
I know.
Yeah, like the Twi'leks, obviously they have their own language that they speak, as you see in the different episodes on Ryloth.
Of course, there's multiple languages. My whole thing is, again, I know I didn't want to just call it basic and then confuse some people, so I just said English because, again, that's the language that we hear. But but the point is that basic. It's not like everyone. I know it's again the basic language, but it seems like we've had so many people speak basic over the years that it's nice to have someone speak their, a tribe, a group speak their own language.
Right.
Because the only two groups that I can think of off the top of my head that speak their own language are this group and obviously Wookiees. So okay, three groups: them, Wookiees, and fucking Ewoks. That's all I can think of.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So I and I know there are more guys. I know, but those are the first things that come to top of my head. So I like that this show is being able to focus on that. And maybe it took them, they didn't want to focus on it too much, of course, in the first season because you want to make sure everyone's following everything. But I'm happy because I don't think this episode really needed to have the girl speak a lot or to have the family and everyone else speak a lot. What they were doing spoke a lot more. Then it told it certainly told a story without having to say anything. Just ripping him to shreds. I'm like, yeah, good shit.
Yeah.
But that's my take on it. So anyway, I asked you before. You mentioned you didn't really see an episode out of this batch that we've done that you could say was really weak necessarily. Now, can you pick an episode that you like the most? Or episodes if you want to do a two-parter that badly.
No, I would probably have to go with Jedi Crash and Defenders of Peace.
Mm-hmm. Because of same reason that I kind of would, because of Ahsoka kind of just being able to take charge and kind of show that she's not just some little shit.
Yeah, I mean obviously Ahsoka gets a bigger role, and you see the other master that's with her, Aayla Secura. Basically,
which I love her so much.
Yeah, you've seen other Jedi Masters. You saw Master Luminara with team up with Ahsoka fighting Ventress, and all these other, some of the other Masters seem a bit more reserved and kind of look at, Anakin and Ahsoka as they're newer to the group. It's and even looking at Ahsoka taking on Anakin as a master, to some of the other masters, he's not even really refined yet himself as a knight.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like, eh. But I love how Aayla kind of makes a connection with Ahsoka right off the bat. She's like, look, we can't really stay with Anakin right now. I know you care about him, and obviously I do too. But we have to go get him help, and we have to leave him here. You'll have to trust that he'll be all right. And,
exactly.
She doesn't automatically shove it in her face no, you can't have attachment. She's like, I was once a Padawan too. I remember what it was like. I was very attached to my master as well. But I realized for, the betterment of the group that I had to let go of that attachment. It's she tried to say that it was something that you learn in time. Obviously it's not going to happen, right away. But you work on it. And I think as much as it annoyed me at first, the village leader, I'm trying to remember.
Leader McLeamer.
Okay.
No, but you're right though. You are because I'm sure You can look up his name while we're talking, of course, but yes, you mentioned that to me before. Again, his philosophy.
Tiwat Ka, I think, was the leader of the
yes.
village. Yeah.
Yes, you mentioned that his philosophy. You don't really mention how it annoyed you, but it's funny because I assume as a kid it really would annoy you. But you've told me over the years, because you've really been trying to get me to watch this, not even from a podcasting perspective, just as like a fan perspective, you've been trying to get me to watch this for years. And you've told me how, you understand why, it's in his mind. Well, if Jedi are coming, so are the bad guys. Even if Jedi aren't bad necessarily, but when Jedi come, so do they. They bring war. Jedi bring war. Get the fuck out.
Yeah. And I think I think the point that he annoyed me was when it was obvious that the Separatists were going, the droids at least, because that's another thing. Like, you see it much later in the series, but not all the Separatists are actually assholes like the guys that you see on screen.
Right.
And but even at the point where the Jedi come back and they're like, look, they're going to burn down your village. That's what this guy is here for. He's testing a new, Separatist toy, which was interesting because it's like, it burns all organic matter, but it'll leave the droids completely unharmed. It's like, all right, that's all right. I get it. I mean, I don't know how effective fire would be in cities per se, in the Star Wars universe, because I assume most of their building material is pretty fire resistant. But I guess seeing as how they're in the Outer Rim already, it would be more of an outer rim siege technique. So yeah, but
think about
the fact that
like
he brings up. Yeah, all right, go ahead.
Well, I was thinking if it sends it more like a wave, let's say, it could go through a building and kill the inhabitants inside.
Yeah. True.
Because it's not necessarily about destroying the buildings. Because again, if inorganic matter is left untouched, doesn't mean it's not gonna the droids aren't stopping it. It's going through them. So if it goes through the buildings and kills the inhabitants inside, that's extremely terrible. Kind of fucking weapon. It's fucking maddening. It's sickening. So
and it's interesting. On a second side, because you even see that idea, you see the opposite end of that idea in the Ryloth 3-part episode, where Obi-Wan says to the clones, no detonators and no rocket launchers. We're trying to keep the Twi'lek's homes intact so that they can come back to their homes after we drive the Separatists out. Meanwhile, the Separatists are using them as, shields.
Yeah, and it shows you the difference between both sides, and I think that's why, I worry about the later episode talking about the clones, because as of right now, there really is this idea that, Jedi trying their hardest to not, destroy everything around them, because imagine that, right? Oh, yeah, we saved you, but all of your homes are destroyed. Good fucking luck. A writer had to sit there and think, okay, if these guys really want to seem like the righteous, right, good guys, they wouldn't just come here, save the day in a way that completely destroys the landscape and then leave. Not trying to shit on Goku or Superman here, because I assume that Superman helps completely, how Superman helps rebuild everything, and Goku at least knows Bulma. So Bulma's like, we'll put money down to fix the city. Right? So I'm assuming that they don't just leave cities destroyed in Dragon Ball Z and go, well, too bad, and then run away. Right. But my point is that, in something like Star Wars, you could potentially have them destroy the entire city. Then because it's a war, they have to run away. Yeah. So it's kind of crazy how, a writer had to sit there and really think up, okay. A bunch of writers had to come together and think, all right, because, they have to be the good guys, they actually have to fight this way, while the Separatists are actually going to fight this way. And, of course the Jedi are going to win because they're super cool, kawaii desu, but it's just the fact that, you have... Every once in a while I slip that in there and I destroy Tristan. Just blows his mind, just explodes completely. But seriously, you have them sitting there, fighting like good people. Even though it's warfare, they're still fighting for the good of the area, like for the good of the people. And you and of course it's like, well, duh, of course they're fighting for the good of the people, but not just because they're gonna live. Hey, they're gonna live. That's great. Yeah, but who cares if it's not a life worth living?
Right.
Like, who cares if they live a good life if they then have to sit there and go, well, we don't have homes, our planet's, the nature on, like, I'm trying to think of the weather system, right, of our planet.
Our climate
we will be
is altered.
Climate, thank you. Yeah, our climate. Well, no, not the climate being altered, just the whole fact that, like, well, our winter is coming. We have no homes.
Yeah.
Like, God only knows what's coming up for them that they have to deal with, and then they wouldn't have homes. They would have no place to go back to.
Leaving your planet completely battle-scarred. Yeah.
Exactly. But, hey, we saved you. It's like, no, at that point, why didn't you fucking kill us? Let us die. What do we have to return to? Like, yes, it's like, oh, well, rebuild. You still have your lives. Yeah, but again, what kind of life if everything you've ever known is destroyed? Yes, some shows, and understandably, try to make that whole, that theme of holding hands and doing the whole kumbaya, like, well, we're all still alive. Isn't that nice? Yes, it is nice. It's good that you're not dead. But it doesn't change the fact that, if you have nothing left, that still is a pretty shitty, and there are people that could have prevented that. It's going to be a tough life. And there are people that could have prevented that. And they didn't. How were they the heroes?
Right.
That's something that's crazy that they actually thought about when writing these battle scenes.
And I feel like the village leader, he brings that up. It's like, he doesn't take the stand of, the Jedi being peacekeepers because, you're going to war just the same as, the other side is. It doesn't matter who starts it, you're still fighting. And there are people who get caught in the middle. And it's a back and forth, though. Like, Aayla Secura doesn't kind of just let it sit there until there's one specific thing that he says. But she looks and she's like, isn't liberty worth fighting for? But he brings up the point that, you're making. It's like, fighting, but what if, nothing left after the fight? But I think
I wanted to put that out there. I put out that point for Ryloth, not necessarily for them, because for them, of course, the idea is, well, if you don't fight at all, it doesn't just mean that you're going to be A-okay. When you have, it's not like you're living in a democracy where it's just like, hey guys, like the Separatists don't in no way have to put up a front. Now, of course, they put up a front for everyone, like if cameras are watching, but if there's no cameras and there's no proof, and of course, it's very hard to have proof in such a large galaxy, then obviously they don't have to really put up a front because they're trying to be evil tyrants. It's that simple. So or not even evil. They're trying to be tyrants, and they're trying to, get as much money or whatever as they can, resources. I don't give a fuck about anything else. So because of that, they don't have to put on this front of, oh no, but what will people think if we act this way? Right?
Right.
So
there won't be anyone left to think of us that way. Oh.
When we're done with them. Yeah, pretty much.
Right.
So that's why for me, it's kind of a thing where, when you have them like, oh, but should we really fight? It's just like, okay, but do you really think they will leave you unharmed? And it's funny because the Jedi and the troopers and everyone else involved in the, in this fight for righteousness, they understand that, like, hey guys, or justice at least, hey guys, so that we've seen countless times where people have betrayed us, and guess who's killed them? One guy raises his hand. Was it you? No, actually it wasn't us. But why wasn't it you? Well, we would have at least put them in jail. Oh, that's good. Before the Separatists killed them. Wait, what? Like, what? Like, yeah. Like, imagine that, right? I've betrayed the Jedi to help you. What is my reward? Death. I'm sorry, could you say that louder? I think I have some crazy in my ear.
Oh, no, wait. That's just the blade of a lightsaber in my... Oh.
Well, then, I'm dead. Like, how fucking crazy is that, though? Seriously. Like, imagine, like, when you really think of it that way, you're like, yep, that's your reward. So... Yeah. But again, as we mentioned during the last Star Wars Wednesday podcast that we did, you can't... No one can spread the message because they're dead.
Right.
So, but obviously, fucking, like, the Empire, the Republic knows.
No, not yet, Matt.
We'll get there eventually. We'll get some when? Oh, about 40 years ago. Anyway, so, sorry. Anyway, but seriously though, obviously the Republic knows. Like, they all know, because they're like, hey, what happened to Tim? Well, he betrayed us. Where did he go after that? Oh, he probably died. How would we know? Because we see everyone every fucking week. No, seriously, if someone betrayed them and lived, they would have seen him.
Right. Yeah.
Like I'm being very, very real here. If someone betrays you in the fucking, Republic going over to Separatists, you will totally see them again, like, the next week. Or, like, at least the next day in some kind of fucking large space battle. But the fact that they've never seen anyone that has ever betrayed them, they're going to sit back like, that guy probably died.
Yeah.
Think about it, though. They fucking see Ventrix, they fucking see Grievous, they fucking see everyone, but they don't fucking see people that have betrayed them. What does that say? But I want to mention, though, that another thing I like about the Heist episode, season finale, is the fact that the two of them, of course, being Padme and Anakin, actually seem to have a normal fucking relationship.
As normal as it can get between a Jedi general and a senator. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I say normal because, again, there's a little bit of an age gap there that you can tell, right? But it still doesn't seem like, it doesn't seem as bad as it did in episode 2, where it was like, okay, Anakin seems like a love-struck teenager, and so does Padme, even though she's like, 6 to 8 years older than Anakin?
Yeah, 5 years. 5.
Only 5, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So then, because in my head, when we first meet Anakin, he's how old? 8 or 10? 9. Okay. So then she's 14, which, again, just fucking weird, man. Anyway.
I know.
Just fucking
and
weird,
then in episode 2,
anyway.
He's 19 and she is 24, because it's 10 years between episode 1 and 2.
So then,
I know.
So then,
odd because Anakin's still kind of
Well, because here's the thing. He doesn't seem... Okay, in a way he seems 19, because I'm not going to say that 18 and 19-year-olds, the second you turn 18, you just become fucking smart. It's like, no.
Right.
No. But he still seems like a 15-year-old in episode 2. And then she's 24, and I'm like... But she also, in some ways, it's like, Anakin... I am so love-struck. And it's like, you're fucking 24? Really?
Yeah.
You're 24? I know differences in, like, obviously different, different universe than ours, different age scale and, responsibilities and whatever. But, like, you're also a center at this point, and you've kind of grown up in this atmosphere. What the fuck? What the fuck, Padme? But then seeing them both here, like, it's funny. In this show, Anakin seems so much more grown up than he ever has.
I know.
In any of the fucking live action, I don't know about live action.
I would argue by episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, that they're a bit more evened out.
Yeah, a little bit. But even then, it just feels weird because it still feels like even episode 3, he's whiny in some ways. So 2 out of 3 is funny. 2 out of 3 of the movies, Matt, he actually was a child in one of them. 2 out of 2 of the movies, he just seems like, because I can't count episode 1 because he was a child.
Right.
So out of 2 and 3, he seems very childish, more so than in this war, like in this Clone Wars series.
Yeah. Right.
Like seeing him in this Clone Wars series, I'm like, that's a man. And again, not man like man, woman matters, but like that's an adult.
Right.
Not about gender, just that's an adult. Right. That is a fucking adult human being.
Right. And I feel like I've said before, in this series, you get to take that time to develop Anakin as a character more.
Yeah. Because I would argue in episode 3, he's not how he was in episode 2 or in episode 1. God, he was such a child in episode 1. But in episode 3, he just really, I don't know, there's something about him that, even though it's better, it still doesn't seem like he's an adult. Like, it still feels like he's getting there. I guess because that's the one where he turns evil over something that I don't believe he should be turning evil over. So I think for me, it just feels like he's still somewhat immature.
Right.
But in this series, I'm like, yeah, man, like he has his moments, of course, with like Anakin, come on, man. But he still really, I guess, because you gave him Ahsoka, he really feels like an adult. Like he doesn't feel like he's in any way chained to Obi-Wan. Even though when they're together, they'll make jokes about stuff like that. Obi-Wan and Anakin will make jokes about like, oh yeah, you're still technically mine, or you were, and all that stuff.
Right.
But like, and it'll be like old dad Obi-Wan, old dad, old man dad jokes Obi-Wan. But it
and
still
I love
isn't
how they
as
did
bad
that for the Clone Wars series, because they took Anakin and Obi-Wan's dynamic from Episode 3 and reflected that in this series, and that was them at their best. Like, they feel like, they work together, they're on the same level kind of thing, until Anakin has his little outburst about not being a master on the council. But
blah, 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 blah. But it's still. But I don't know. I still feel like in this series, like just even in those moments when they were together, yes, there was a little bit of a power imbalance in a way. It feels like where Anakin's like, come on, just blow off work, and she's like, except I am a senator.
Right.
Like, there was a little bit of that there, but it didn't feel like a childish thing. It just felt like a relationship thing. I don't know. It felt less. I mean, Anakin is 5 years younger than him, yes, but it didn't feel like it did, or like it would have in Episode 2, where it's just like, just run away with me. I'm 24 years old and you're 19.
Right.
Yeah.
You didn't feel the weight of that age gap.
Yeah, like I did in Episode 2. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But so, and also I think it's funny. Maybe it's also the fact that he's changed his hair up a little bit as well. I'm being serious here. Like, not even kidding. Like, just his hair and everything is different. Also the fact that because he's animated now, he's bulkier a little bit. And I really mean that, where he was really skinny in Episode 2.
Yeah.
And it was like, ooh. Like, I don't know, it was weird.
Right.
But,
seeing Anakin a bit more built, it kind of makes more sense that way. It's like, a 5-year war will kind of do that to you.
Of course. Also, I want to make sure, I'm going to look this up right now, but I don't even believe that, maybe I'm wrong here, I don't even believe that Natalie Portman was as old as her character was when she played her. But I might be wrong. Like, if you're saying, well, no, because you're saying that in, that she being the character, not the actress, so she being Padme was 24 in Episode 2. So I just want to, make sure, because I'm actually very curious about that. Anyway, so please, while I'm looking this up, talk about the Clone Wars series. Like, talk about these batch of episodes.
And
talk about some more things.
There actually was a point I wanted to bring, like, speaking of Anakin's development, like in Clone Wars in the series, there is one line where Ahsoka looks at him and it's like, well, we're not just going to leave, the Lurmen village to their death, right? It's like, we have to get them to stand up for themselves. And Anakin looks at her and he goes, and hearing this from Anakin was like, whoa, really? Like, Anakin? And it really speaks volumes to his character. He says, no, Ahsoka, we can't force them to do, something that goes against their beliefs. Like, we'll leave. And I was like, oh, damn, that was pretty wise. All right. But of course, they end up they come back, and Ahsoka looks at Anakin, and he's like, well, they're not gonna fight, so why are we even? He's like, Ahsoka, there's a difference between, trying to get a village, there's a difference between asking someone to go against their beliefs and saving them from being completely obliterated. And it was like, yes.
I would like to mention, Portman was 21 at the time, so not that big of an age difference, but there's something about her that, I don't know, he looks a lot younger than she does for some reason, in my opinion, and at least it's funny, looking at the poster, he doesn't, but in the movie itself, there's something about him that just seems a bit too youthful and lively in a bad way, compared to her, like, stoic, like, oh no, I am 24, and it doesn't seem right. Now it's like, I don't know, I guess like you said, because of the war. It's funny. I'm not saying the war is a good thing. Like, well, thank goodness that war was there for Anakin. Because it did not help him out in the long run. Well, it didn't.
No, it didn't. Just before, after. Oh.
Yeah. But, So anyway, so the point is that I feel as if their relationship has been better reflected here. And something that I still can't, not about the relationship, but about some of the art, something that I still can't stop laughing at is how the lightsaber looks like the exact models that people have as toys. And I've said this before. The reason why I like that's funny. If anyone's like, well, why is that funny? Like why is it? Because like people will say like, okay, so like when there's like a so let's say there's a live action Star Wars series, right? Like an actual TV show where they use lightsabers. I mean, heck, even the movies, episodes 1, 2, and 3, people I think call them out on this. The lightsabers that they would use, and maybe even episode 7, the lightsabers that they would use would actually probably be prototypes or the actual models, maybe just made a little bit bigger, of the lightsabers that they would make when they sell them to the general public, that you would have, that other people would have, right, Tristan? But what's interesting about these is that obviously you have to craft them as 3D models before you print them out, right, and sell them to the masses. Right. So it's just funny to me because these models look like, especially when you see them depending on the angle, look exactly like your lightsaber, right, or other people's lightsabers that I've seen. And that's why they're so funny to me, I think, because it's like, my God, it looks like they just copy and pasted a model that they had. Like, right, we're going to sell those next month. Yeah, we are. All right, copy-paste them right here.
Right.
So whenever I see anyone handle them, especially seeing like Padme handle them and seeing them up close, they just look like your and other people's lightsabers. And it just makes me chuckle because I just imagine like them just copy-pasting the original like 3D model before they go out to send it to, a 3D printer or whatever it is to get them printed out. It's just funny to me. I don't know. For me, I just find it funny because they look exactly like your and other people's lightsabers. Maybe you don't see the humor that I do, but
no, I get it. I was going to make a joke and say, oh, so you could easily just shop me into the scene and it would work just the same way.
Kind of, yeah. Have to make you a bit bulgier, but yeah. But seriously though, yeah, it's just funny to me because people like usually comment like it looks like they're using the toys like for real, like for live action versions. It just looks like the toy one that my brother has, and it's like, yeah, well, this is the original model. Suck it. Right. Like, right. It was funny. This is even more toyier. This is the actual fucking 3D model that they're fucking making this in Maya, a 3D engine to make 3D movies and shit. I think we talked about this last for the movie episode, that they actually used Maya, a 3D engine, to create that movie, and I believe the rest of the show, actually. So that's interesting. Anyway.
Right.
But anything you want to say before we kind of wrap things up here?
Well, yeah, about a few of the episodes that we missed on, there are 3 points. For Defenders of Peace, when they were on the snow planet, one of the moons of Pantora, I don't know what it is, but I really love snow planets. Like, I guess it must have just been, Empire Strikes Back, but whenever they're in the snow, I just get this giddy feeling. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Like, I even look at myself like, you're being really stupid right now. I'm like, I know, but I don't care. They're in the snow.
No, I understand what you mean too. I don't know why, but I do think that's why, because seeing Hoth and then seeing so much of Hoth and being able to play, like, I remember I was a kid and I believe I played Super Empire Strikes Back, and I think I was also able to play in the snow. At least I think I was. Oh yeah, that was fucking terrible. Like, playing as a kid, I was like, fuck. I wasn't even
one of the
hardest
things.
Those words as I couldn't even say those words as a kid. I don't know what I said to replace those words. Just sheer anger. But anyway, so yeah, so watching that, right? Watching like just general snow planets. I think even when we did the episodes of Ewoks, right, the animated show, I think snow just made things better.
Oh jeez. Oh, I remember what you're talking about. Oh, why do I remember?
Those are episodes we liked. And there was snow involved. So I don't know, man. I don't know if just snow makes things better, man, in Star Wars.
But I think the episode stood out because it was a conflict between two actual peoples and not like, oh, it's the droids. It's not about the war, actually. It's about you know, a planet and its moon and the, you know, the peoples that inhabit both.
Right.
And I did really like the senator. Senator Chuchi, I believe her name was, but she was really one of those characters that kind of reflects Padme too, like a young senator coming into her own, and I'm happy to say, like, we'll see her again in other episodes, and she grows. Like, even the background characters in these series will sometimes make reappearances, and you can see how they've grown since the first time you've seen them. So that's something that I always personally appreciated within, you know, the Clone Wars series.
That does sound really nice, actually.
Yeah. One quick one I wanted to do for Mystery of a Thousand Moons. When Anakin and Obi-Wan are going out to get the root sample to save Ahsoka and Padme, who have been infected by the Blue Shadow virus.
Jesus Christ! Oh, I love that
actually,
kid, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Jabo. Yeah, he was great. Especially reprogramming the droids. That was hysterical.
He's like, thanks. It took me about like 6 months, but whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Anakin just starts slicing through them as they're like, you know, welcome to Iago. Ah. And Obi-Wan's just like, good job, Anakin. You managed to destroy about 18 clunk. 19, Master. 19 defenseless battle droids. And then Jabo comes in. The hell, man?
I will say, though, that made me feel really bad for the droids because, again, you know, we talk about this idea of, like, you know, we make jokes sometimes. But in all seriousness, we talk about the idea of, like, droid rights and things like that. I will admit, that made me feel really bad for the droids, which I think was a problem because, like, even though we make, you know, they make jokes about themselves, you know, the droids are generally a joke. I don't know if it was the best idea to have him do that because, granted, it's funny. We know later that he's going to be a little bit of a bad guy. Anakin, just a little bit of a bad guy. But I will admit, you know, you were building up goodwill with him, with me, and I think with a lot of other people. Yeah. And then he ends up going and, like, slices all of those. And I'm like, good job, they're defenseless. And I'm like, we're making a big joke out of this, guys. It's kind of not nice.
It's also the point of you see what sets him off. Like, obviously, Padme's life is in danger. Ahsoka's life is in danger.
Yeah.
Anakin's kind of lost, like, I don't have the patience right now. Like, I need to get what I need and save them. It's like anybody else can either bend to my will or get the fuck out of my way. Or I will make you get out of my way.
Yeah, we're just kind of like, ooh, I don't know if I...
But the line,
I don't know if I like this Anakin. I don't think anyone does.
He even says to Obi-Wan, like, Obi-Wan says, you know, Anakin, you know, sometimes before you make a great leap, you have to take 3 steps back to make the jump. And then Anakin turns around. It's like, at the same time, sometimes all you need is the will to jump. And it's like, oh, shit, you're both not wrong, but fuck.
Yeah. No, I understand your point. Yeah, it's like they're not wrong, but that's the interesting thing about at least looking at this specific instance, and many instances, to be fair, you know, it's not like they're wrong in their beliefs. It's just where each one decides to go with it.
Right.
So it's not like Anakin's wrong, but at the same time, you're not going to say in Episode 3, yeah, you know, he should have killed all those younglings. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. I love the idea, though, of Droll when they had, you know, the peoples that are trapped on Iago. It's like, oh, nobody leaves this planet once you land. It's like, excuse me? Oh, yeah, Droll, you know, the watcher of Iago. Like, no one leaves. It's like, all right, kid, sure. It's like, so let me get this straight. You guys use the Force, which a lot of people, obviously, like even Star Wars make jokes about, you know, oh, yeah, use the Force, whatever. You know, it's like they don't believe it because they can't see it. And then you finally show it to them, and they're like, oh.
Right.
But I love the fact that they poke fun at mysticism in, like, at other people's, like, they look, it's like, oh, it's a vengeful spirit that keeps us from leaving. It's like, Obi-Wan's like, all right, I'll bite. You know, what is it? But the fact that they find out it's you know, a separatist energy field that activates from one of the other moons. Oh, that was another thing. One of the design for the moth person that walked in.
Yeah.
I really love that design. Like, she just looked really cool to me. Okay. I don't know what it was, but the design was nice.
But I want to mention before we wrap things up that you notice this a lot in every kind of like just belief system. Doesn't matter what the belief system is. Doesn't matter if you actually can sort of see it or feel it or it works. It's just the idea that you know, it's kind of like you guys use the Force. Yeah, but we use it, so like we know it exists, but no one else who can't use it like believes in it because it doesn't really affect them, or you're not using it on them, whatever. Yada yada. Well, I know, but you know, we know how to use it. So it exists, and everyone's like, all right, cool. Here's some mysticism. Well, I don't know about that weird shit. And it's like, are you serious?
Right. I just find it funny in a series that uses that sense of mysticism to make the joke, about it. And I guess
that's the point.
Yeah.
Like they're assholes. Like, you know, like they being like the Jedi, where it's just like, oh, everyone else, that's crazy. No, I swear to you, it's real. Man, it's hard to it's hard to really like make these people believe that it's real. Someone else, hey, this is real. Whatever. Okay. It's like,
and I guess it was just interesting to see like them. It's like, no, there is a scientific explanation why you guys can't leave the planet. It's a separatist energy grid. But then they turn it into, so you guys can leave whenever you want now. Oh. Thank you.
Right.
Have a nice day, I guess. Yeah. And I guess the point I wanted to make with Blue Shadow virus, the doctor, he was off his rocker.
He was
but
also
that wasn't
quite
the point,
German.
But, yeah.
He was quite. No, I was like.
Yeah.
No, I was freaking out, man, because like I'm watching this, right, and all I hear is just like, oh yes, you know, and I'm going to make a virus, and what will it do? And I'm like, please be very careful with where you're going with all of this.
Yeah.
It's like what? It's like what when it's like, well, what do you think? Oh, I think all people are weird. It's only the viruses that are real. And I'm like, okay, we're good. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know much about the Nuremberg trials, but I'm pretty sure we're in the fucking clear right now. Dude, no, you fucking have to understand. When you have a fucking German doctor talking about mass killings, I'm freaking the fuck out. I'm like, all right, I don't know if I'm cool with those kids that introduced me to Cartoon Network now. This is fucking weird. It got fucking weird. I'm not even making a joke, dude. It was fucking scary.
No. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. I would argue that they weren't necessarily going for a German accent for him, but
you think so?
Totally.
You really don't think that?
Yes.
Okay.
Not 100%, but I can see where you're coming from. Yes.
No,
I definitely get it.
Oh, wait. No, because if he was like, I don't know, because for me, if he was just like, all right, now the thing here, mate, is that I know like some people would be like, no, because some people would be like, oh, that sounds too funny. No, but seriously, if you went for Australian, where you're like, all right, so we're going to make sure that you die from the virus, I'd be like, all right, that's weird, but that's a general accent that they do. But I feel like he had a little bit of German there, and
so you can have a mad scientist be Australian and be, completely fine then.
Well, it wouldn't bring up Nazi imagery. Yeah, that's the fucking thing that it wouldn't do. Like, sorry, man, you give a crazy scientist doctor German accent and have him want to release a virus that kills everyone. You're giving me some imagery here.
Yeah.
Imagery that I don't want to pick up, you know?
Right.
I don't want to pick up what they might be putting. Yeah, I don't want to pick up what they might be putting down, you know what I'm saying? And he just, because here's the thing too, like if he had just a general British accent, or if he was just like, oh, well, the thing is, like if he had like that, I'd be like, all right, cool. But he was just like, everybody, he was just kind of like had some slight German undertones there, and I was like, oh. Right. I was like, where are we going with this? And then it was like, oh, I don't like anyone. Viruses are cool. And I was like, all right, I don't think, like I know that there was some doctors in that regime that, looked into some different kinds of like viruses and or general like weird shit.
Right.
But I don't think like any of them were like that. We're like, oh no, we hate everyone. So I think they, like they knew what they were doing. But there was a point obviously when I see him as a doctor. And then he's like, or crazy mad scientist. And then he has that accent a little bit. And I'm like, oh, no. Like, I was just like, oh, goodness. Oh, my goodness. And then it got better in a weird way as it went on because it got away from that. in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I didn't know where they were going at first, so I'm like, where in the fuck are we steering this ship?
Right.
Like, that's my take. I'm like,
yeah, I did like the idea of the whole underground complex and everything. Like, the layout of the complex was actually pretty interesting.
Oh,
but
I love his character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love what they did there.
Right.
I just didn't know where it was going at first. But once I knew where it was going, I was like, oh, shit, this is pretty cool.
Right. What I really, what actually scared me about the episode was the fact that I knew, obviously, Padme would make it when they're like, oh, no, you've been contaminated. It's like, well, obviously she's in the movie. She's fine. But when Ahsoka got contaminated, I was like, oh, fuck. Like, this is the, because I started to wonder. I'm like, I don't actually know how long this will go. I was arguing with myself, like, I'm assuming this is at least gonna go for another season. But
yeah, because it's not even like
if they're gonna take out Ahsoka now, holy crap!
Because you weren't a little kid at the time. You were a teenager watching this, so you didn't have that because I have to imagine you now as a teenager. Because whenever we see certain shows or to do podcasts on together, I imagine you as like a little tiny whelp. Like imagine you as a little tiny being. Like, but oh no. But what would happen here? But now I'm like, right, he's a teenager, so this is when I met him. So he's just constantly wanting to punch things, and so he's just.
Oh God, worst part of it is you're not wrong.
So I imagine you as a kid, big eyes, big Puss in Boot eyes from Shrek, but what's gonna happen here? Like in Yu Yu Hakusho, and now here with Ahsoka, you're punching the fucking cabinet under the television. But what's going to happen here?
Right.
So that's what I imagine. So now I have to admit, now you can actually critically think about this. And be like, wait a minute, there's going to be another season maybe. And also, this is 2009, so, internet existed, of course, but it still wasn't as, I would argue, as good as it is right now with every little fucking spoiler of every little fucking detail of every movie, television show. At this also, the way things got renewed, not like they didn't get renewed crazy back in the day, but certain shows, I'll be sitting back now and it'll be like, it's been renewed for 3 more seasons. And I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, all right then. So, back then, granted, Samurai Jack got renewed pretty much for, I think, its entire run in one sitting. But still, I know that, if Star Wars underperformed, even though it was Star Wars, if it underperformed, they would have cut it.
Right.
And so, and again, not like it was the way it was now, where we're all I would argue, maybe I'm wrong, right? But I don't think that, at least for you, it would be harder for you, even for you now, really, to find crazy spoilers for certain shows, months or weeks in advance. So I imagine you sitting there too, oh man, I don't even know if this thing has been renewed yet. What's going on? Right? Is she gonna die? I don't know anything. So, but not as a child, just as an actual adult, teenager, not adult, teenager, rationalizing, okay, so what's gonna happen here? How's this gonna work? Because as a kid, you'd just be fucking scared.
Right.
Now you're scared because you're do they have the guts to do this?
Yeah, because the whole thing was, it's I know she's not in episode 3. That's that's my biggest worry here. It's I know she doesn't make it to the movie and does not appear in the movie, so oh no.
Don't worry about it. She'll be in the background in the episode 3 Blu-ray Ultraviolet remastered set.
Oh my God.
But there's no such thing as Blu-ray Ultraviolet. However, Ultraviolet does exist, and it's essentially 4K.
It's a wavelength of light. But okay.
And it's higher than Blu-ray. It's essentially 4K, I believe. But I don't know much about it. The point is that it's really fucking good, from what I've heard. But not good enough for people to make the jump from Blu-ray already.
Yeah.
Heck, there are some people that are like you and I that are like, well, we like Blu-ray. We can still deal with DVD, honestly.
Yeah.
And there are people like, but Ultraviolet. And you and I, we're good right now. We'll see you in 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
But anyway, so, just mentioning, that's a great thought, though. Will Ahsoka die here? And even just seeing Padme have all that, that's funny, makeup, it's animated, have all those, the veins and everything. I was like, oh, man, I know she's not going to die here, but, man, would it look bad. Does it just look bad that she's, in such pain? And also in my head, I'm like, Padme dies. Thankfully, her cousin, also named Padme, comes along, and she's in episode 3, and that's what happened there. Sadly, Padme died, but Padme's her biological, her twin sister, Padme, was also alive. Not sure why they had the same name, but that's how it is.
And Anakin didn't notice a difference.
Nope, he didn't.
Anyway.
For some odd reason. Anyway, so yeah, no, I'm sorry. I'm just a huge fan of like when in shows when like, oh no, someone died, but don't worry because their cousin, who has a who vaguely looks just like them, showed up, and don't you worry because they'll replace them. And I'm like, thanks, show. Like, thank you, actor, for leaving, and now your quote-unquote cousin is going to stick out the remainder of the show. Thanks.
Right.
But anyway, so we're going to wrap things up here. I think there's not much else for us to say because you had 3 points, and I think you said all 3 of your points, Tristan.
Yes. I could go on, but I'll let you wrap up the show.
Fair enough. But still happy that you guys were all here with us throughout all of this. And hopefully next week we'll be doing the first half of Season 2. But we'll see how that goes for next Star Wars Wednesday. For right now, like I said, we have this. So, I want to thank you all for listening in. This is another episode of Star Wars Wednesday. Also remember to get some of our crazy, awesome merchandise over at our, crazy and awesome are the way we describe our merchandise, over at our main website, thoseguysinradio.tumblr.com/merchandise, and over at eBay, Those Guys Radio. Also check out our Patreon, which is actually called TG Productions, and you can donate to us there to get plenty of different cool things. You could actually, depending on how much you donate, you can actually suggest a podcast for us to do, and not even just suggest a show or a movie or a television show, but also like a video game. We don't have to podcast on any of those things specifically. You could say, hey, top 5 Star Wars characters, top 5 Star Wars themes, something like that. Top 5 Star Wars books in the in the expanded universe, which means that I would have to read more than 5 books in the expanded universe. But Tristan could tell you all of his top 5. So the point is that you don't have to be bound just by saying, oh, hey, a specific movie or television show. It could be anything that you want us to do a podcast on or do a Let's Play on, right? I'll mention our Let's Play channel a little bit later, but, depending on how much you donate to, you can actually tell us what video game to play and who to play it with. So you can say, hey, I would love it if Matt and Tristan played, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, or it could be anything, right? It could be Super Star Wars Returns. It literally could be Empire Strikes Back. It could be any of those games that you'd want us to play, depending on what tier you donate to, and we can also give you a shout-out as a sponsor either on the podcast or the Let's Play, or maybe even both, depending on how much you donate to. So again, go to our TG Productions Patreon account and check that out. Also mentioned our Let's Play account a little bit earlier. We have a Let's Play account you can go watch all of our Let's Plays on over at our YouTube channel, which is Those Guys Play. Currently, Tristan and I, just over the last few days, we released Tristan and I playing Disney's Dinosaur and playing Dragon Ball Z Budokai for the PlayStation 2 and Disney's Dinosaur for the PlayStation 1. Although there is a PlayStation 2 version of Disney's Dinosaur that morbid curiosity makes me want to try it out. Not even on the show, just general morbid curiosity.
Oh, geez.
Because remember something, the PS2 was new at the time.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Anyway, but we have the PS1 version that, again, we've played over at our Those Guys Play YouTube channel. Also, Tristan and I have played Luigi's Mansion. We've played Hot Wheels Turbo Racing. We've played Pets Crazy Monkeys. Oh, my goodness, that game was such a game. It was just a game. And we've played Red Steel. We've played so many different games, both on Those Guys Play season, whatever it may be. Currently, we're on Season 3, and that's where you and I actually played the first episode of Dragon Ball Z Budokai over at Season 3. So, which is still running, by the way, every Saturday, although we are taking a hiatus in March. But still, you can watch some of the older episodes that we have, for Those Guys Play Season 1, 2, and 3 on our YouTube channel. And you can also find our podcast over at our YouTube channel, Those Guys on the Radio, and through iTunes by searching up Those Guys, and through our Blog Talk Radio, which you may be listening to right now, which is Those Guys on the Radio. And also we have our social media accounts. We have our Facebook, which is /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio, our Twitter, which is @ThoseGuysRadio, our Instagram, which is also /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio, and our website, which I mentioned earlier, which our website is thoseguysonthenradio.tumblr.com. So I want to thank you all for listening in, as always. Again, just keep on thanking you guys because you're still here with us, and that's a lot of fun, right? You guys got to hear all of this ranting nonsense. All right, so thank you all, and hope that you have a good night, and say good night, Tristan.
Good night, everyone. May the Force be with you.
And also with you.